This conference will now be recorded.
Oh, was it 14, 15, 16?
14 is fine. 14, that's right. Just in case something would change.
I don't have the same problem.
14 is wide, next to where James.
Okay.
Yeah, if you make the motion or something.
Good.
Oh, the rest of the 14 is 15 to 16 is perfect. They, we on? Call this meeting in order. Roll call, Shannon.
Mayor Trujillo,
Here.
Commissioner Butcher,
Here.
Commissioner Campos,
Here.
Commissioner Gandy,
Here.
and the record will show Commissioner Bolt is absent.
Commissioner Bernard, lead us in prayer and pledge, sir.
If I can get you all bow your heads, please. Our loving Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessings, your help as we're gathered together for guidance in the matters on hand. And Lord, we just wanted you to ask that you bless those that are sick and those that are in harm's way. Lord, just bless this city, all its commissioners and their families. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the CS symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Amen.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the exclusion of resolution 2021-18 and 2021-19, excluding those with the remaining to be intact.
I'll second that. Motion was made by Commissioner Campos, second by Commissioner Bernard. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion, roll call on that, Shannon.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Campos,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Do I have another motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider the minutes of March 8th, 2021.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Campos, second by Commissioner Gandy. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion, roll call vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Campos,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Moving on to Commissioner and staff reports. Public Works, White.
Mayor and Commissioners, just like to give a brief update. March 19, 2021, New Mexico DOT did the bid of late letting for the New Mexico 18 project. At 10 a.m., the bids were open. Engineer's estimate was $18,806,091.26. Constructors Inc. came in at $21,233,276.90. J&H Services came in at $22,628,627.40. Currently, right now, they're reviewing the bids. I'm not sure if they will go with the apparent low bidder on constructors or J&H Services, but as soon as I do find out any more information, definitely let you know for the estimated time. Talking with Constructors Inc., they said probably mid-June to July, if they did get the bid award, they will be starting construction on the New Mexico 18 project. The one I did talk about last time, the mill and overlay for the 2-inch from Wells Fargo, Bank Avenue E, all the way south to the railroad tracks. That one should be starting later this week and possibly next week. They never did give me an estimated time on how long they will be out there doing it, but it would only be one lane of traffic shut down at a time with 3 lanes open. Then they'll move on to the next lane, so they're only gonna be shut down 1 lane at a time. But that is a full mill and fill, as they call it, with hot mix. And that is from the east side, actually south side of Avenue E, so Wells Fargo all the way to the railroad tracks. They will be replacing that, brand new striping and everything afterwards. One of the other ones, Mr. Butcher, he did ask me to get a hold of New Mexico Texas Railway, contacted Robbie Rodriguez, to shortly after. He said that it is not in their current fiscal budget to do anything with that, but I've asked them to come and give me an estimate on what it's gonna take. And as you guys know, on the Avenue R crossing, the city went ahead and paid for the pool, and we got reimbursed by the New Mexico Texas Railway. So he said we could definitely do something like that again, but he's gonna go ahead and get his crew out here to give us a total cost on what it might cost to fix that railway.
Thank you for that.
Other than that, still waiting on the final, did get with Eric on the cobblestone line extension. Still doing the final pay app, so that one should be finalized, within the week on the cobblestone line extension for the utilities. That's all that I have, sir.
Why, on the south main there from Wells Fargo south,
Yes, sir.
there's just 2 lanes, right? It's just a southbound truck or it's all 4?
It's gonna be all 4, but they're only gonna be shutting down 1 lane at a time. So say the far
Right.
west side lane, they're gonna leave 3 lanes open.
I was just under the impression they were just doing the southbound when we talked. I misunderstood.
No, they're gonna be all full width.
All right, thank you.
Is there any other questions by the board? Thank you. What? Moving on to Garrett. Captain Garrett.
Yeah, your mayor and commission. I don't have anything new to report except that we're working on the budget. And we're working towards being able to have work sessions the week of April 19th.
Is there any questions by the board? Thank you, Garrett. Put on to City Clerk Shannon.
I have nothing to report.
Does the board have any questions for Shannon? There are no questions for Shannon. Moving on to Commissioner Bernard.
No, not this time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gandy.
I just want to know who left the gate open on the west side of town. That's all I want to know. Just fess up, that's all I ask. Other than that, I have nothing.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Compost.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Moving on to,
Which
I would say the chief right now, just for, we don't have tonight. Chief Rodriguez, you have anything?
I know it's on the police side, we're still working with the limited personnel, we're still trying to get everything as normal as we can. We're possibly gonna be, just let the commission know, probably gonna have another 3 openings. Just giving y'all a heads up. So other than that, morale is what you should expect during this time, but we'll get there, little by little.
Is there any questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief.
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can I offer you that chair, brother?
No, sir.
Are you sure? Okay. All right, thank you.
All right. Moving on to Chief Lozaro.
Sir, Mayor and Commission, today has been kind of a rough day. They had, our guys worked a total of 12 calls within about an hour's time frame. So they are staying really busy. Like Chief Rodriguez said, or I'm sorry, Interim City Manager Rodriguez had said, morale at the department is kind of where we would expect it, being is where we're at. And I do have some guys that are potentially looking at leaving too. So I just wanted to let the commission know. But that's it.
Any questions for Chief Lazar? Yes, sir.
We're looking at leaving too.
I've got some that are leaving, potentially to Hobbs. And then I've got a couple others that are applying outside of, public service.
Good question for interim city manager Rodriguez. Are you having the same issues?
Yes, I have some going to ops, some of them going to the county.
It's always been a pattern though.
Always have been. Not this bad, but yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Chief. Moving on to interim chief, interim city manager Rodriguez.
No, other than just to reiterate what Gary said, we are trying to grasp the numbers for the budget. Hopefully the work session will be on the 19th, like he mentioned. Other than that, it's been crazy 2 weeks, but that.
Okay. And then on that, if we could kind of like set aside 3 days, at least 2 days for the work session.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that we can address half and half. So we could make a thorough review. That way we're not trying to push it in 2 hours.
No,
I mean, if they only last an hour on one, only last an hour, then we'll move on to the next one. I think it needs a thorough review on what we plan to do in this next fiscal year, 2022.
Yes, sir. Other than that, nothing else.
Any questions for the interim city manager? Thank you. City attorney, McMahon.
Nothing to report.
Any questions for city attorney? Okay. If there's no question for city attorney, we're gonna go ahead and move to public comment. Anybody want to address the board? State your name, sir, please.
My name is Timothy Boyston, and as you know, I'm representing the American Legion here, and we had a fundraiser last Saturday, and I invited the city and all departments to, everybody come down and everything else, and they did a fantastic day. They came down, they supported us. All departments came down and supported us. You have 2 volunteers from the city who helped barbecue and helped with the food and everything else. I want to give a good handout to those 2 individuals, because one of them had grounds this weekend. He also found time to barbecue with me, started at 9 o'clock and 9:30 in the morning and ended at 5. So we did very well. My goal was $1,500 for the American Legion to keep the doors open. We quit at 5 at $14.48 minus the food, and we are now giving the American Legion $11.48. So, and we are going to plan on continuing this all summer long. So thank you for putting it out to all departments and especially the PD and the fire department and city hall and the volunteers came out and everybody else. We do appreciate it. And we hope to do this again.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else have public comment? Okay. All right. We're going to move on to discussion items. Mr. Rodriguez.
It'll be, the first one would be discussion of the beer wine sales at restaurants. That would be the chamber director discuss.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. To discuss the, actually the new HB 255. This came out March 17th. The governor did sign this into law. Anyway, here's what the highlights are. So in this first slide here, they are going to have some tax breaks for liquor license lessors that have licenses licenses that have been held on June 30th, 2021 for up to 25,000 for 4 years. That's just an overview. Next slide, please. Here's one of the big ones. So HB 255 alcohol delivery permit. This is going to allow for alcohol license holder retailers, small brewers, restaurants to deliver alcohol to homes. We have to remember that we're a B county, so indoor retail space must be less than 10,000 square feet. For restaurants must include $10 of food and no more than 750 milliliters of wine, 6 12-ounce prepackaged containers of wine, beer, cider, or liquor, or 1 locally produced growler. Next slide, please. HB 255 also has a 2% retailer's tax added at the point of sale going into effect. This will approximately raise $5 million in general fund revenue to offset tax breaks and new provisions of the law. Next slide, please. Oh, what slide are you on? Economic impact. Okay, so this one could have an economic impact for Lovington. A governmental entity may sell alcoholic beverages directly or through a leasing at a government facility. A governmental license may be leased to a qualified lessee, but only be used by the lessee for events authorized by the government entity. A governmental entity does mean a municipality, and governmental facility means locations on property owned or operated by a governmental entity. So this would be something for the commission to look at if there's an economic impact for either a licensed, a lessee, or at one of the facilities that Lovington owns. Next slide, please.
Can we go back, please?
Yeah.
So are they saying any property owned by the city? Is that what I'm understanding? Because it seems very vague.
This is just an overview, so I didn't go into detail on what kind of properties, but they were talking about if the government owns like an airport, they will allow it to be sold at a rural airport. If it is a municipal golf course, it'll be allowed to be expanded there. From what I understand, you can designate certain properties. So for example, if the chamber had different events, perhaps, and one of the buildings owned by the city, this may be an economic driver for us to just put more impact into the community. So if you like, I can get more information, or Patrick may have more information. It's brand new. It was just signed last Wednesday on what locations. Yeah.
That's fine. I just wanted a little bit of clarification there. So thank you.
Yeah, and Leslie, can you look into that picnic license on government property as well?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's probably something we may, we may end up using.
Yes, sir.
Maybe have a request for as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Next slide. So HB 255 will have 2 different restaurant licenses, Restaurant A and Restaurant B. This is a modification of what we have right now. So if you do have a Restaurant B license, you will actually be able to sell alcohol. So the beer and wine license that are in effect right now will allow them to sell liquor. I'll go into actually some of the restrictions with that, but I'm just kind of giving you an overview of what the law is looking like right now. A Restaurant B licensee shall serve a single patron no more than 3 drinks containing not more than 1 1/2 ounces. Next slide, please. These are going to be the fees. So basically, they're waive fee for 10 years for those who purchased licenses in the past 5 years. The Restaurant B, the new restaurant liquor license, is going to have these fees attached to it, with restaurants respectively at these amounts. So 0 to 25, 26 to 50, 51 to 100. These are also some of the fees that are going to be for the delivery license. This is also going to allow business owners more flexibility to create outdoor patio spaces. Next slide.
I'm sorry, listen, can we go back?
Sure. Yeah. So these are just some of the fees.
Go back, one more slide.
One more?
Yeah. The bottom part there, it says more than 1.5 ounces of liquor.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
What about beer?
Well, this is going to, I believe it's still three drinks.
So 3 beers?
Yes. This is only going to be, this is the modification for the restaurant fee, which is the new license. So it's not more than 1 1/2 ounce of, they call it spirituous liquor.
Good.
Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Local option district. What I want to point out, except we want to go down here to the, right here. Here, and I had it highlighted. But with the Class B county that has approved the issuance of restaurant license for the sale of beer and wine, it is deemed not to approve the issuance of restaurant licenses for the sale of beer, wine, and liquor in restaurants unless the local option district affirmatively adopts an ordinance approving such licenses. So this will be something that the commission will have to look into because you'll have to actually adopt an ordinance approving licenses. Next slide, please. This is more in detail about that too. So barring the adoption of an opt-out ordinance by the governing body of the local option district, a restaurant located or to be located within the local option district may receive a restaurant B license to sell, serve, allow the consumption of beer, wine, and spirituous liquors. So again, from what I understand from the municipal code, and I'm sure the city clerk or the city attorney can get you more guidance on that. Looks like an ordinance would have to, you'd have to agree to an ordinance to have a restaurant B license. Okay, so next slide. So here's our municipal code, and this is what I brought up that needs clarification. Before the issuance of any license provided for in this chapter, the city commission shall cause a thorough investigation to be made concerning the character and integrity of the applicant and shall make a thorough investigation of the conditions existing in the locality wherein the premise to be occupied. So I brought that up because again, it's a little ambiguous, and if we are looking to perhaps get more franchises into the city, create more business license, have more restaurant owners be able to get beer and wine or alcohol license, it's just ambiguous and it may just be a policy that needs to be addressed.
Question, Leslie?
Yeah.
Maybe Pat can weigh in. It's pretty early stage in the code, but what are the parameters of concerning the character and integrity of the applicant? What are we supposed to be looking at? And who conducts the investigation? Any idea?
Part of, if the application came into the city manager or his or her designee would take a look at, you know, if there was some criminal convictions of somebody, or it was depending on how close it was to school or certain other issues. So I think it gave the city a little bit extra oversight into these types of applications. So we could certainly clear that up and identify what specifically would be looked at in an investigation, you know, how thorough would it be? But I think it was just put in there to give us a little bit more option as far as taking a look at an applicant above and beyond what the state requires.
Yeah, because the state does do a background check and thumbprint and everything.
Yeah, but this is asking us to do that.
This is Lovington City Municipal Code.
Right.
Next slide, please. Here is also part of our municipal code. This is basically any person residing within the city who is proprietor or owner of any hotel or restaurant for any person who shall desire to start or continue a business for the sale of alcohol liquors may apply for a dispenser's license for the sale of all alcohol liquors, and if such application is approved by the city commission, may receive a license upon an annual fee of $250. It also says all applications for a license provided in this chapter shall be submitted in writing and shall be in such form as may be prescribed by the city commission and contain such information as required by the city commission. So when we have restaurant owners applying for either beer and wine, Class A or Class B, if they are going through the city, the state application process, with this language being a little ambiguous again here, is that they're spending quite a bit of money to get different licenses through the state without any kind of approval by the city commission that we are going to approve it or something. So my question is to the commission, if there is a way to perhaps clean up this language here or have some kind of document that says, if you go through what needs to be done for the state, we are going to approve your license after everything's complete. So I just thought that was a little ambiguous for a restaurant, potential restaurant license holders. Right now, you're looking at about $3,000 for beer and wine, and then the fees for the alcohol one. So
Beer and wine sales at restaurants?
hesitant about that if I was going to go to the state to apply for a license and on the condition that it may not be approved by the city commission. Also, our license application, I have looked on the city website. I cannot find an application that shall be submitted in writing to the city for a license application. I could not find it anywhere on the city website. So I just feel like if we have people that are looking for new beer and wine license, it would be something that should be added to our website.
Discussion on revocation of previously approved vacation. So they're looking at taking people's vacation away again? Well, everybody was saying they're supposed to appoint a chief, but that's not on the agenda though.
Just an open mic. Can you mute everybody? So, it's not open mic night.
But it should be muted.
There is, and it's called, and it's regarding limited personnel matters.
That's David Scoop. I think it's David.
And then the open session after is approval of interim city manager compensation and approval of city manager hiring process.
Yeah.
Hey, is that you, Sergeant Hayes? You are coming across on our meeting, sir.
No comment. See the 11th, click on the 11th, the people, in the top right.
Yeah, the three little buttons on the person. Oh, on each person.
You don't.
They were.
Yeah, everyone else.
Just you know what needs to be on there.
They were.
I think he muted himself. Now, as he said,
Yeah.
Work.
Okay. Do you want, is there still more screen?
Just a little bit more.
Go ahead and bring it back to where we're at, please.
Just a quick question, Leslie, if you don't mind. So are you maybe recommending that if these people gain state approval, that the city waives the fee and also gives approval?
I'm not saying that we should waive the fee for the annual fee through the city.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that if they indicate a desire to go through the state process, if there's some kind of, perhaps some kind of agreement, say that you have like a 3-month or a 6-month period to complete a qualified application with the state, that the city commission agrees to approve you.
It's because they're investing about over 3,000 and
Yes.
they don't want to come back saying yes, and then we turn around and say no.
Right.
Lost their
They
investment.
need some assurance.
Yeah.
Yes, assurance that they're going to, if they go through everything that the state requires, that they are assured perhaps in a certain time frame. You don't want to hold on to these for
Right, I got
quite a number of months. But say, I have this, I'm going for this in good faith, something like that. So,
makes sense. Thank you.
here is the next slide, please. All right, here's the one on locations near church and schools, HB 255. If you look at the bottom right here, from there. So it says a license may be granted for a proposed licensed premise if a person has obtained a waiver from a local option district governing body for the proposed licensed premise. A license may be granted for a proposed licensed premise if a person has obtained a restaurant A license or a restaurant B license. So this is the state HB 255. Next slide, please. Here is our municipal code. Any person applying for a license for the sale of alcoholic liquors at a location where alcoholic liquors are now being sold, which is in with 600 feet of a church or school, may be required by a city commission to submit the signatures of a majority of the residents within 2 blocks of the proposed place of business to a document stating they have no objection to the granting of such license. If such applicant then fails to obtain a majority of such residents to sign such a petition, the license may not be granted. So we have in our code 600 feet of a church or school that says submit the signatures of a majority of residents within 2 city blocks. What I have always understood that we had to get a certain specific church or school in that 2-block radius to approve. But in the city code, it says that the majority of residents may approve. So what I'm asking is to have some clarification on this. Are we going with the majority of residents within a 2 city block?
And Leslie, versus the state code, where's the state code? Is there a
Can
state
you
code?
go back to the previous slide?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so here's the one on the state code. So the state code says, this one says at the bottom, a license may be granted for a proposed licensed premise if a person has obtained a waiver from a local option district governing body. This was 300 within 300 feet. Ours says 600. Next one. So this is the one that we have. This is the one we have. So are we, at some point, if I can get some clarification, if we're going with the majority of the residents within 2 city blocks?
Are we going with the majority of the residents or the church? Is that? That's what we
Right,
need
because
clarification.
I had heard that the church had to approve, and that was if it was close to the location, but this is the majority of a resident in 2 city blocks.
I think that the difference was, maybe wrong, maybe speaking out of mind here, but on the north side of town, the major area was consumed by the church. We had to get it from the church because within that same area, the church held more property than the residents. So depending on what property and where you're placed in town, either could place, because if you're on the south side of town, you're going to have more, we'll just use the ranch house, so you're going to have more residents there that in that smaller area than you're going to have churches or anything else. So, you know.
Yeah, and we've had other restaurants that have kind of approached and are kind of looking into what it takes to have a beer and wine or perhaps a license and stuff that may have some challenges with having a church buy it. So we just want to make sure that this is something that they can go by. And I believe Ranch House, I have the owner of Ranch House here this evening. I don't believe there's a church or school within a 2-block radius.
Not on that side of town.
And that,
Closest one. How far is Velar's church? That's what, 3 blocks?
Yeah, it's
One off of Love?
Yeah, that's pretty.
That's right there, about 3 blocks away.
Yeah, so, okay.
that's all I have, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Yes, ma'am.
Patrick, on that one, so we would, I guess it's on a case-by-case basis with under these circumstances, but I guess I'll have, well, one of the restaurants in town was asking about that on a church being close by. And I wonder what direction we have to send it to.
Did that bill pass?
Yeah.
Or is that,
Signed.
it was signed?
Yeah.
Okay, it was signed.
They don't do alcohol as well.
It was fine. So at some point, we're probably gonna have to revisit our stuff. and
Yeah, yes, we
make
clear all
changes
that.
on that.
Yeah, we
I
have to
think,
clean
I
that.
think the thing to do is take a look at the language of that House bill. See what passed, and then we can go ahead and make the changes to our code city ordinance based on.
And then we can put in whatever things that, like if they can get their state stuff approved and with proper approval, then,
Yeah,
typically
that's,
it just
that's what
works.
you guys want to do, leave it up, if they can get approval from the state, that's fine. However, we need to take a look at what the bill was that passed, to figure out what still works and what doesn't. And then at the time this passed, and I don't know if you remember or not, but I think it was our second most popularly attended city commission meeting. And so it was quite contentious. And so there was a lot of concern about, if we want to just leave this to Santa Fe to make that decision, or if we want to make it here in the community. And the city commission at that time wanted to have a little bit more
Second
control or say, or input over that than just, rubber stamping whatever Santa Fe is. So once we take a look at the new bill, we can compare it to the current ordinance, and then the current city commission can look at it, see what is comfortable.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome.
Okay, this one's a discussion of a previously approved vacated property, and Crystal will present that to you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. I'm gonna bring this to you to talk about, we're gonna show an area about this location where we vacated this street easement. We did this last year, July 27th, 2020. They were to remove the carport. That carport currently, and on this photo, sits on our existing 2-inch water line. When we vacated it, we made the statements in the resolution that they had to remove that carport. They had to give us a 20-foot easement on that water line. And they couldn't build nothing over that water line area. So they agreed to that, but then I still have their plaque in my office because they've never held up their conditions. But they did come in and they did actually just meet with me. They were here for just a minute, but they met with me out there. They had pictures that have started to tear down the carport. So that's why I'm just kind of guidance from you guys. You want me to give them a little bit more time since they finally have started? Because I've sent them letters and they've done nothing. But when I sent them the letter that I was going to bring it here to you to revoke that resolution, they got on it this weekend and started doing things. So that's where I'm at. Just you want me to give them a little bit more time, see if they go ahead and follow through now since they have started.
I think so.
Yeah. 30 more.
They're on the way, so.
It's a long way, but
About a year.
I guess I got to do something to get them to get started. Huh?
My question to you is, the amount of tear down they had, is it sufficient for you to say they are trying to attempt that?
Yeah, because they actually got concrete instead of just part of the structure. Concrete's the harder part to remove. So.
I say give them till the next meeting.
Okay, I'll see how they do.
Yeah, as long as they're progressing.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Crystal. Okay, moving on to action items.
So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
so you left that kind of open there, in my opinion. So you said as long as they're progressing.
Well,
So-
you said,
Well, I said in 2 weeks. You kind of left it open there. So do we want to have a definite time frame of closure here? I mean, you said give them a month. I'm just not that friendly. So is that something we should?
well, it was under discussion.
What do you recommend?
So, I mean, it's just a discussion. I realize that, but you don't want your discussion to be open-ended because the way it,
Yeah, as long as they're, yeah.
after,
So how about in 2 weeks, I come back with a picture of what they've done?
that's fine.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Moving on to action items. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolutions 2021-014 to appoint Public Work Director Wyatt Duncan to the Regional Transportation Policy Committee.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Bernard, second by Commissioner Gandy. Is there any discussion?
Or just because James is stepping down, we just put him in his place.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes.
There's no other discussion? Roll call vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Gandy?
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Compost?
Yes.
Mayor Trivio?
Yes. Resolution passes. Do I have another resolution? Do I have another motion? Steve?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2021-015, appointment of a representative to the Southeastern New Mexico Economic Cog Board, interim Rodriguez.
Second. Motion was made by Commissioner Gandy, second by Commissioner Bart to appoint Mr. Rodriguez to this position. Is there any discussion?
It's the same thing we replacing James, correct?
That's correct, sir. No other discussion, roll call vote, Shannon?
Commissioner Gandy?
Yes.
Commissioner Compost?
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
Mayor Trivio?
Yes. Resolution passes. Do I have another motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider Resolution 2021-16, appointment of representative to Lee County Solid Waste Authority and to recommend interim city manager David Rodriguez.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Campos, second by Commissioner Gandy to appoint interim city manager Rodriguez to this position. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, it's the same thing. It's just to remove James from the board and to appoint me to finish until you replace me again.
Thank you, sir. There's no other discussion. Roll call vote, Shannon?
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy?
Yes.
Commissioner Compost?
Yes.
Mayor Trivio?
Yes. Resolution passes. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2021-017, approval to unfreeze financial department position.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Gandy, second by Commissioner Bernard. Interim city manager Rodriguez, do you have any discussion on it?
Yes, as previously James had brought it up, I guess the finance director has been mentioning for a while now that he is falling further and further behind and can't catch up with what he's doing now. He is requesting that we unfreeze the vacancy that he has to assist him with catching up on some of the stuff that he has available. Gary, are you online?
Yes, another part of that would be, we have our new fiscal year coming in.
Oh.
Always on and on.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Essentially, this is someone who would really assist with taking over payroll, which our city clerk is doing now. And there are several other duties that our city clerk is handling that should be done in the finance department. That also is a situation where we're looking forward to where we're going to have additional responsibilities related to grant reporting, in addition to the fact that DFA has increased their demands on our reporting as well. But the most important part of it all is ensuring that our data is current and accurate, and we need someone to ensure that a lot of activity that does occur outside of normal things, for example, what the departments bring in and collections for utilities, will have a lot of activity that's posted to our bank account, and we have to spend time identifying what it is and getting it posted. And then there are other unusual events that occur as well. And so that's really the greatest need for this person.
Thank you, Gary. Turn to discussion by the board.
I guess the question is, when would this be effective?
Could be effective immediately, sir.
Good. Yes. Because you had mentioned at the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Yeah, what I was referring to is our budget. And so somebody to help out with budgeting, the budgeting process to get all the documents in place for us to review. And so forth. Right now, we currently have no one to do that.
Mhm.
And obviously that area, mainly that's what, to me, that's what my focus was. Plus everything else that seems to be in place right now.
What does this position pay? What salary range?
That was a question for Gary, but he's off of there again. It's basically going to be the entry level position is what he was saying.
Okay.
Depending on how you wanted to see it, there's two ways. He said it'd be the entry level pay, or would have to pay a little bit more depending on their experience as well, depending on who we decide to go with.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
And I think to broaden this view a little bit, if there is any changes made in the future, we definitely need someone there to assist us in this area as well. Right now, it's like I was gathering some information last week. I was having to reach out to other department heads to get the information instead of someone directly involved in the county area. So this individual would at least have access to numbers other than one individual. Is there any discussion? There's no further discussion, roll call vote.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Trivio.
Yes.
Look, you fell off the wagon.
Resolution passes. Next two items were removed. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider accounts payable.
Motion was made by Commissioner Compost, second by Commissioner Gandy.
Is Gary on?
Muted, I'm trying to get it. Not on.
Dave?
Your mayor and commission. Yes, sir. We have before you the vendor publication report showing our expenses that totaled that $188,000 for this particular payables. And I've been asked in the past to give some details about the visas. So I'll run through in the order, starting with Visa 1229 at the top, just to give a quick run through. Essentially, that visa for $494 was related to ambulance transfers. It was buying the fuel. The second visa, 1260 for $125.90, was for our fire station. They needed ink for their printer and a stapler. And then the $20.92 was a UPS fee that the fire needed to pay, or USPS, postage. And then the $290.67 visa was related to police training, and so fuel and the expenses related to the police department training. And then the next one, the $1,831 expense was related to our youth center, purchasing food, snacks, and paper crafts. And then the $1.04 was an iCloud storage thing for the oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the department, planning and zoning. And then the $743.61 is related to parks, and they were in a situation where they needed to have some valves repaired and fixing something to do with some pumps, and then buying gopher traps. And then the next one for $239.12 was a freezer that the police department needed to buy. And then the $469.56 one was a pharmacy license for our ambulance department. And then the second to the last, the $30.75, that was our animal control. They needed a card reader. And the last, $149.54, was an ice machine rental for the youth center. And if you have any other questions, I'm available to answer them.
Gary, on the New Mexico Finance Authority, is that a one-time payment or is that monthly?
That was a semi-annual interest payment for our drinking water loan that we have.
Okay, thank you.
Gary, quick question on the youth center expenditure of $1,800. What exactly was that for? That's a little bit high to get a, what is it, party or something, or was that to feed some kids, or what was that for exactly?
The only description I have is snacks and paper supplies for activities.
Could you get some information on that, please? Because that's a little high for snacks.
Okay, I'll get more information on that.
Okay, please, thank you. Gary, who is Cummings Rocky Mountain expenditure? What is that about? $1,900?
Cummings Rocky Mountain, just a second here, find them on my list.
The